Have it. All right, for those that don't know me, my name is Majuba Bianchi. I'm the CEO of 3T System. We also have Charles Gavin, who is the VP of Operations, and we're both coaches with 3T System. We help students pass the PMP exam, and for some who are in the PMP course or have been in it, you know us very well. So with that being said, today's presentation is a Q&A session, so it is meant to be interactive for all of you to ask you questions about the certification, but also initially we'll just go over everything that we know in terms of the ITILv4, and then we'll take questions last. So with that being said, in terms of Q&A, it's, you raise your hand, we get the question, or you can, if you're thinking of it as we're going through the presentation, in the ribbon at the bottom, you'll see Q&A. And so all you need to do is type in your question right in there, and then I will facilitate it, and Charles and I will answer your questions. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. And today, some of the things we're going to cover is the key components of the ITIL framework, why get the certification, and the Agile integration within the ITIL infrastructure that they are now, enforcing or including in the curriculum. As we know, everything includes Agile these days. We'll talk about the exam format and really what it entails to pass this. And then the 3T System ITILv4 way of coaching and how we want to help you pass this exam in a very easy way. And lastly, we'll talk about the package we've put together for everyone that's joined the call today or is seeing this live. We're going to be able to give you an amazing package, very competitive from what you're seeing in the market. So we're going to talk about that and then give you the registration link if you are ready to make that commitment to getting this certification. So with that being said, Charles, did you have anything to add before I go on into the details of things?
Sure, I'll be brief. I just want to introduce myself. I would love to share my screen, but I think Zoom only allows one camera on at a time. It's not allowing me to show it, but nonetheless, it's good to meet you all. I look forward to working with you all, and I'll be here to help answer any questions. As Majuba said, I am ITIL4 certified, so I'd be happy to give you the inside scoop on anything that you're wondering. So with that being said, Majuba, take it away.
Thank you. Awesome. So let's go ahead and talk about what is ITILv4. It's a framework, and it has been around for the past 30 years. And what it does is it provides a comprehensive or guidance in establishing IT services. So if you are in the service line or work for an organization within its IT department, it will allow you to manage its IT services in a consistent and continuous improvement manner and way, where you're looking at processes where you can streamline them or make them more effective and efficient. The ITIL has gone through a few revisions. So they recently changed from an ITILv3 to a v4. So now if you may have looked at the content with ITILv3, and if you have, I don't have the difference between the two. However, now is the time to study for the ITILv4, and everything that you'll be getting in this class will be to pass the exam with the version 4 of it, because version 3 will be obsolete. And again, we'll talk about ITIL now. It includes Agile, DevOps, and transformation. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. The key components of the ITILv4 framework, it really encompasses 4 dimensions. And the value chain provides a flexible operating model. And we all know when we're part of organizations, we step into what that organization has created over the years. And I'll tell you from experience, I've worked in organizations where there are no standard of operations. There's really no way of completing a service or working with your organization on completing some of their projects. And so what the ITIL framework does is it gives you that framework to bring it into an organization, the knowledge, those processes, established ways of providing service where you know that at the end you will have successful stakeholders. And so part of that is the ITIL service value chain, ITIL practices, the guiding principles, governance, and continual improvement. And so why should you get the ITILv4 certification? I think there's a lot of reasons. Some enjoy learning new things and adding those beautiful acronyms after their names. I know I have a few. Charles has a few now too that he added in the last, I think, like 2 months. But you know, some of the reasons that people do want to get it is because you want to have an understanding of the ITIL framework, the information technology, information library. That's what ITIL stands for. And so here, you know, you also want to come into an organization to enhance their IT service management and be a true value in understanding what are some of the gaps within an organization's IT services that you can now fulfill through your knowledge of obtaining this certification. IT professionals, you know, knowing also how to work with other professionals within your organization and showing the value of this certification and just saying what the, you know, because there is value to standardization. There is value to capturing information the right and proper way. Has anyone here worked on ServiceNow platform? And if you have, that entire ServiceNow model is actually based on the ITIL framework. So if you see, and I think someone is saying that maybe they have, FISA has, excellent FISA. So that entire ITIL, ServiceNow platform is based off of the ITIL framework. And in all honesty, there are no prerequisites to this certification. So really, if you're interested in IT service management and you want to have this broad knowledge of operations from a service perspective, you're looking to get into maybe managerial positions, if you're a seasoned professional, then this certification may be that foundational knowledge that you need so that then you can add on to it. But Charles, I want to give you an opportunity to talk about what made you get the certification.
Sure. Thanks for that, Majuba. One of the key things to know about ITIL is the perspective that you'll be coming into the position with an ITIL certification. You are no longer in the weeds per se, right? You're not dealing with the granular. You're dealing with the upper levels of management of a company, and you are that IT SME, if you will, or subject matter expert, and you're at the crossroads between what a stakeholder wants and how they can get it using an IT service. So if you are looking to grow your career to, like, as Majuba said, become more managerial, manage people, manage services, be able to point your client or the stakeholder to the right IT service, this is what IT is all about. This is what ITIL is all about. I spent a long time in the weeds, that's a saying I like to say, dealing with the day-to-day, little tiny day-to-day tasks to get a certain service up and running. And, you know, that is absolutely a great career path if that's what you'd like. But if you're looking to take a step back and manage those services, that's where ITIL is. And just to wrap it up, because I don't want to take too long, I know Majuba has a lot to get through, is
No, you're fine.
okay, cool. I'm trying to be very cognizant of how long I'm speaking.
No, honestly, Charles, I think this is a good time to pause, and we have some participants who may want to ask you in terms of how that would be beneficial to them. So guys, if you want to raise your hand at this time, and I would love to call on you, and this is a great opportunity to ask Charles, what made him get the cert and what he's seen in terms of impact in his career or his current job. So raise your hand, but Charles, please continue. Absolutely.
Sure. So the path I was personally trying to go on, and perhaps this might answer some of your questions, is I wanted to be that IT managerial guy, CTO, CIO, or maybe a COO in the future of a large organization that deals with IT. And just to piggyback off what Majuba said, doing things with a fundamental, repeatable, and scalable approach is what ITIL is. There are many ways to manage IT services. ITIL has become the most popular, frankly, because it works. Same reason why the PMP has become very popular, because it works. There's an approach that can be mimicked and mirrored and scaled depending on what the client needs. And if that's what you are looking for, then ITIL is definitely the approach you want to go with.
Thank you, Charles, for that. I see, you guys, please tell me if you want to, or put in the chat box if you have questions, or just say, I have a question. And what I'll do is I'll unmute you and you can ask that question. While participants are raising their hand or putting their names in the chat box, Charles, in terms of after gaining your certification, how did you look at your organization's or project's current processes? And did you immediately make changes, or have you suggested changes where your team appreciated or your organization recognized?
Yeah, so the way, and this is just a personal approach that I, Charles Gavin, like to use. Your approach may be different, but when I get somewhere, I like to kind of stay quiet, listen, and learn for a while, kind of get my feet underneath me before I jump in with suggestions. But after about 2 months, and I really got to see how the company works, and more importantly, how the organization leverages their IT services, I was able to kind of pinpoint some voids. I'd like to consider myself a smart guy, but I will have to say the ITIL certification helped highlight those voids that I'm not sure I would have seen prior to getting my ITIL. It just opens up new doors, opens new perspectives. So one of the things I was doing, one of the suggestions, if we're going to be very specific, is service desk. Multiple companies use service desk to answer problems, and the service desk was not functioning to its greatest ability. And one of the things I learned from ITIL that in hindsight seems obvious, but it really wasn't at first until after I studied, was what people on a service desk, what qualities and characteristics they need to have. And I was going into it thinking they need to be highly technical. And that is not what they need to have. They need to be two things. One, they need to be empathetic. If people are reaching out to you on a service desk, they're probably pretty frustrated with whatever's bothering them. So you need to have empathy. And the second thing you need to have is a group of people on the service desk who understand the business process. So you don't have to be technical. You don't need to know ServiceNow like the back of your hand or SharePoint. You need to know how the business works, and you need to be empathetic. And we did not have that on our current service desk. So when I was able to articulate those points from what I've learned from ITIL and really pinpoint some concrete next steps, we begin to make that transition to a better functioning service desk. And we're still in the transition period, but I see that it's going to become it's a very promising practice that we're doing, all thanks to ITIL. And I mean that quite seriously. ITIL was a really an eye-opener for me.
That's really good input. One of the things that I want to also ask is, what made you pick ITIL versus any other certification? Because I know you have your PMP and you're a certified Scrum Master. Why the ITIL certification versus maybe anything else that's out there?
One word: leadership. That's where I want to be. I want to be that tip of the spear leading. And one of the things, or probably one of the greatest things that ITIL shows a potential employer, is that you understand IT, not from the ground level, but from the C-suite level, your CEO, CIO. So when I'm in the meeting with those people, I'm able to speak their language, but more importantly, see the company and see IT services through their eyes. And that allows me, ITIL allows me to have those conversations in a manner in which your CIOs and your VPs and things of that nature can understand.
Excellent. No, and I agree. I think having knowledge and seeing things from a different perspective, organizations appreciate that. And I loved what you said initially, pausing and listening first. I think interjecting yourself too early on in an within a project organization, it is looked down upon. So I love that approach. Listen, understand, and then come in and put in your knowledge. One other thing, because we have students who are currently in our PMP course, do you think that the PMP and the ITIL-v4 certifications complement each other?
Oh God, yes. That is probably the second reason why I chose the ITIL. Both of those, both the PMP and the ITIL, give you that 30,000 foot, bird's eye view level of a project and your IT services. So if you are in an IT service kind of field, if you're doing anything with IT and you want that leadership role, having these two certifications are two peas of the same pod. And again, it helps reinforce that idea to whoever you're speaking to or employer that the gentleman or gentle lady in front of me can speak high level. Yes, you can understand the ground level, the granular, the in the weeds, as I call it, but you're able to step back and take that longer, more strategic view. And that was one of the goals I had for my career.
Excellent. Thank you, Charles. That's really good input. Any questions from our participants to Charles? All right, perfect. So let's move on to our next slide. And yes, yeah. Oh, Daryl. Yep, coming to you, Daryl. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, hold on. Yes, I was actually wondering, I guess is the ITIL4, can it be integrated with any aspect of IT?
Any aspect of IT, as long as IT is serving a business purpose, which is pretty much 99% of all IT. So yes, that was a very long way to say yes.
Yeah, because Majuba knows this. I told her last week, but I'm trying to switch into a cybersecurity field, and I just wanted to know if ITIL4 would be useful in that.
So Daryl, here you go. Ready? You do your ITIL, you do your CSIP, and then you get your PMP, or PMP then CSIP. Are you familiar with CSIP?
Yes, the Certified Information Security Specialist. Okay, yes.
There you go. So those are the three-headed monsters that I would put on your bucket list to get done. I'd say knock out your ITIL. I'd say it's one of the lowest lifts. PMP and CSIP can be a very, very heavy lift. ITIL is a little bit easier than that. So you knock that out first. Then I'd say you go for your PMP. The reason why I say PMP is because PMP is a very broad and broadly accepted certification. And then you finish it off with the hole-in-one CSIP. That would be my suggestion.
Actually, right now, I'm in the PMP course. I'm on week 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Great question, Daryl. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get Tony Thomas. And then if you have another question, you can always raise your hand again, Daryl.
Okay.
Tony Thomas. Tony from Technatomy? Unmute yourself, Tony. You should be able to talk now.
Can you hear me now?
I can. Are you Tony Thomas from Technatomy?
How you doing, Majuba? Yes, ma'am.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing very well. It's funny. Me and Majuba actually worked together at one point over, almost 10 years ago? No, 8 years ago.
About 8 years ago, yes.
It's when I saw your name on the invite, I was like, oh, wow, that's kind of cool. So I originally saw the invite for this whole seminar for the ITIL-v4 certification because I'm actually in the midst of studying for it right now. I'm looking to take the exam in about a couple of weeks. But my question really, and anybody in the panels can answer this if they know the answer. If you get the certificate as an individual, that's great and all, but how does that help an organization? Like, what do organizations actually look for in a person that is certified like this? Are they looking to help them or help the organization go towards a more, I don't know, a better workflow, better way of doing business, or are they expecting that individual to help pave the road on how to make that organization better?
Charles, did you want to take a stab at it and I can say something afterwards?
Sure. I'm not sure if you heard my service desk example, but you pretty much hit the nail on the head. The answer to that is both of those options. Not only are they looking for you to implement new things, but also streamline and make their processes more effective and more efficient. One of the things you can do coming in with an ITIL is to look at their current services, their IT services, and see how it matches up to what requirements they need. And you will have that perspective to say, hey, this service or this vendor that you got to provide a service isn't quite meeting the need that you guys set forth, 3, 6, 12 months ago. And so that perspective is what ITIL gives you. And that is what an employer is going to look for you to provide them with an ITIL certification.
Okay. All right. I like that answer.
Thanks, Tony. Well, good luck with the studying. And you know what? I would definitely love to provide you some resources if you need it. And so that's what we're going to cover next in terms of the exam and so on. So thank you for that question. If you have any others, just raise your hand. We'll come to you. All right, let me move on to the next slide. There is that Agile integration into ITILv4. Seems like every other certification is focusing on Agile. And we know that because Agile is, it removes waste. It gives the customer what they need and it gives it to them quickly. So you're not really having to spend a whole lot of time or efforts on a product that the customer may not be happy a year down the road. So therefore, the Agile integration definitely makes sense. And in terms of the ITIL, you now will have a holistic approach to facilitation of co-creation of value with customers and other stakeholders in a form of a product or service. So what that means is that it's a joint effort in ensuring that everything that you're doing in terms of processes, scaling, improvement, that ultimately you're bringing value to your customer. There are 4 dimensions of service management, and the key concepts really go around being lean, agile, DevOps, and how these are important in terms of delivering business value. So I think, Tony, one of the things that you said that I want to touch on is when you come with this knowledge to an organization, you can say, hey, you know what, I see that you're running your service desk, or I see that you have SOPs in there in a folder somewhere, or there are, one of the biggest things is having troubleshooting steps written down. I've worked with large organizations, and you'll be surprised that some of them don't even have that in a written form where someone can go click on a file name and find it. So what do you bring in? You look at it from a perspective of, I have this knowledge, this is how it's done, here's the framework, and this is how I can help you make it more lean, make it more agile, remove the waste, save you time. And we know that time equals cost. And so when you go to an interview and you say, I bring this knowledge and I can save you money, they'll say, how? With my knowledge of ITILv4. It's another thing is that it's a continuous assessment. It's not like you're just going in once and implementing all these great ideas, but you're continuously assessing and doing, managing the quality of your process to ensure that there is that continuous value to your customer. Anything, oh, actually, Charles, I do want to ask you if you had anything to add there from an Agile integration perspective.
I honestly think you hit the nail on the head there. So there's not much I can say that you didn't already cover. Good answer. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now let's talk about the exam format. And I'll talk about it from a higher level, and then Charles is going to be our man for giving us those details and how he passed this exam. So the exam format is multiple choice. There are 40 questions, and you need 26 correctly to pass out of 40. So there is that 65% pass rate, and you have 60 minutes to complete it, and the exam is closed book. So now you guys may have a whole lot of questions in terms of the exam, but Charles, talk to us a little bit about your exam preparation and how you studied and how that led to you passing.
Sure. So we will go into the actual exam itself later on, but right now I'll focus on the process I used. I went on to the ITIL's website, and that's the certification owner, and they had some good material on there. That's where I started. And then I absolutely love flashcards. And between that and another module I used, I kind of put them all together. So what I like to say is be a jack of all trades. Anything that can help you, feel free to use it as long as it's legitimate. Obviously, you can find anything on the internet. So kind of focus to what Majuba sends you once you guys sign up. And that's how you know that you are on the right path. I try to warn people in our PMP class, you can find anything on the internet. Be very, very careful. I would make sure you run it by Majuba. If she sent it to you, it's legit. So I will say that I didn't listen to my own advice, and I kind of got off. So be sure you're not Charles Gavin in that respect. But I would like to say that one of the biggest things I used are those flashcards. I would write the questions in the same manner in which I would see them on the exam and put the answer on the back. And just wherever I was reading a book, I'd stop and pause. I'm in the car, I'd read them. I'm on a bus or on the train, I'd read it. This is before COVID, obviously, when I was studying. And so that's how I approached the exam, is to try to make the questions that I was asking myself as close to the exam questions as possible.
Thank you, Charles. Any questions for Charles in terms of exam and preparation? All right, we can always take them at the end, no worries. So how are we doing it? How are we here at 3T System helping you pass? We're bringing in what we know works, which is coaching, and with structured learning. So there are no prerequisites to this ITILv4 certification, which means that you don't need to meet any requirements to sit for the exam. Anyone from any background can take this foundation course. And so part of that is that we have a structured way of learning. And as Charles mentioned, we are an ITIL's partner, and we have a platform that helps our students learn it in a way where it's digestible. I'm all about presenting information in micro levels, because I feel like, you know, our brain can take it a little better as busy professionals versus here's an entire 900-page book and just study through it. So the portal that we're providing is going to ensure that you're studying what you need to, and that you're also finishing it, and that it won't, you know, and that it is the material that you need to go over. After each lesson, you do have a set of questions that you have to answer, and then there's also assignments to complete it. With that, we've added coaching. So what that means is once a week, you have access to a coach, which is going to be Charles, and you'll be able to ask a lot of the questions for the information that you just went through. And so if you did find something on the internet and you're not sure, well, guess what? Here's your opportunity to ask the question and say, hey, is this the right material for me to study from? And Charles would be there to provide you that guidance. And so part of that is all the materials you need will be part of this course. You're going to have an ebook, you will have questions. Everything you need to know will be part of the course, so you don't have to go digging around or searching for anything outside of this. What we're also doing is we're providing you the exam voucher with the class. So I know a lot of the training companies do or do not include vouchers. I know some don't, but we wanted to make it one full package, so when you come, you're not having to worry about anything else. So just know that your exam voucher will be part of the same course price. And like I said, the exam questions will be provided to you, some practice ones. Obviously, can't give you the real ones that they give you on the exam, but some practice ones that you can utilize and kind of expect what's going to come up. So if anyone's taken our PMP courses, it's going to be that same approach, that accountability, the support, and the coach that you need to help you along the way if you want to utilize it. Yep.
One of the good things about 3T system, I'd say, would be that comprehensive approach. The 3T or 3-tiered system is your classroom, your community, and your coach. You'll have a community that will connect you on your phone like any other app, like in Facebook or MySpace. I know I'm showing my age with that one. It's a way to connect with other people, and you'd be surprised how many times you'll reach out to someone else in your class, and you're like, wait a minute, I live near Baltimore too. And I mean, granted, again, COVID might throw things off, but you can really connect with some really good people. The second thing is the classroom. It's those what's that says? The structured training portal online. Those are our classrooms. That is where you're going to get the bulk of your information. But the best thing about 3T is that third tier, the coach. And what I like to tell people is when you do other online classes, I call those classes set it and forget it. What they do is they take your credit card information, they set you up, and then they forget you ever existed. We are not a set it and forget it kind of class. And so that coach, in this case it would be me, will make sure that we are holding your hand through the process, making sure you have the information. If there is something on the modules or those portals that confused you, you're able to come back to the coach and tie up any mental loose ends. And so that, I think, is what sets 3T apart from any other set it and forget it online course that you're going to find on the market.
I like that one. Set it and forget it. That is so true. Awesome. Daryl, I saw that you raised your hand. I will come to you in 1 minute. I just want to finish my thought on this. So the next thing, the value package. And so part of that, what you're going to get is the structured learning, the live coaching once a week, your exam voucher, the ebook, and really lifetime access until you pass, and lifetime access even after you pass. So you're going to be part of that community, and we're not going to take your access away. Our retail price for the course is $1,295, but what we want to do is for everyone who took the time today that joined and has an interest in learning, is that we're actually taking off $400 from that. So if you register, it'll be $895 with everything included, and ensuring that when you do sit for that exam that you will pass. So that is available to you. The sale is going on until for 24 hours, but we're all about making exceptions. So if there's a little bit of a delay, we can definitely work with you. But that is an amazing value for everything that you're getting. And I'll tell you, if you were to compare that to what's out there in the market, for this value that you're getting, it is a small price. And that's, Charles said it, we value our students, we value the individuals who come into our courses and take the class, and it's not about taking your money, but it's, about giving it something back once you're done with learning and once you're done with taking that exam. So you can say, you know what, I learned something and I can now apply it to my organization. So that's why we created this value package, to set you out for success. So with that being said, I know that Daryl has a question. Go ahead, Daryl, unmute yourself and ask.
Yes. So this program is structured in the same way as the PMP. So I guess is this 6 weeks as well?
This is going to be about 6 weeks as well. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Maybe a little less. The difference between this course is that, the PMP, you can see the entire 6 weeks at once. What I've done a little differently with this is that what we did was, it's kind of ensuring that you get through the items or the lessons before you move on to the next week. So that's what you'll see. It's like the following week won't open up until you finish a particular set of lessons. And so that's a little bit of a control, but I think it's going to help to say, okay, I am done and I can move on, and knowing that you've learned what you need to pass. Awesome. Sorry, did anyone have, Charles, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yep, just one quick pointer. Majuba said that you'll be able to learn something and apply it to your organization. You know what apply it to your organization is code for, right? more money.
Yes.
So keep that in mind. This is not a cost of $895. It's an investment of $895. And then when that time comes, you're able to renegotiate your salary. So let's not kid ourselves. We all love to learn. I love watching the Discovery Channel, Animal Planet. I love learning. I really do. But we have to put food on our table and gas in our cars. And so not only are you learning, not only are you bettering yourself as a person and as an employee, but you're setting yourself up quite nicely for a nice little pay bump. Just keep that in mind. It almost pays for itself.
I love that. I love these certifications. You can register today. The link is here. I can send you that in the chat box. And really after, you know what I'll do? Because this is a discounted link where we've taken off $400. So I'll put that in the chat box for everyone. If you're interested, you can go ahead and take a look at that. And going back to this, so yeah, you know, we look forward to having you in the class. We appreciate you joining today and listening to what we had to say. We do hope that this was helpful to you. And you know, at this time, we may have captured all the questions, but I would love to take any other questions that you have. Charles and I would love to do that. But if not, I think we did finish a little earlier than I had initially anticipated. And that's great because you can just go take a nice walk outside if the weather's nice where you live. So anything I can answer for you guys? If you can't think of the questions now, Charles and I are here to answer them later. So email us anytime at team@3tsystem.com, and we should be able to get back to you within 24 hours, if not less. So on behalf of 3T System, thank you so much for joining. And Charles, if you want to say anything to close us out, and then we can end the call.
Sure. Thanks, Majuba, for that. And thank you all for joining, taking time out of your lunch break to join us today. I hope you take away something valuable from this. And I hope to see you on those coaching calls, those ITIL coaching calls coming soon. So everyone stay safe out there and enjoy yourselves.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Sadaf. Thank you, Fida, Tony, Daryl. Who else did I miss? And I think I've got everyone. So Luis, thank you so much for joining today. And again, we're here for you if you have any questions. And if you know anyone else that's interested in getting their ITILv4, tell them to come get it with 3T System, because we've got a coaching program that we know works and will set you out for success. So thank you and have a great day, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.